Hello everyone. Now I am going to discuss about classes, objects and methods in Java, which is a part of Unit 2. In this chapter we are having various subtopics. Among them the first one is defining a class and the second one is defining and creating an object. Third one is accessing class members. Fourth one is nesting of methods and the next one is method overloading and overriding and the last one is constructors and access modifiers. First, we will discuss about defining a class. First of all, what is a class? A class is nothing but a user-defined data type that contains variables and methods. Here, variables are also called as instance variables and methods are also called as member functions. Methods are generally written inside the class after the variable declaration. And what is the syntax for writing the method? First, for the method, we have to write the method header. Then only the body has to be written. And the syntax for writing the method header will be like this. First, specify the return type. Next, the method name, which is a valid identifier. And next, the argument list, which is enclosed in parentheses. This is the syntax for writing the method header. After the method header, we have to write the body of the method within the curly braces. And now we will see what is the syntax for writing the class. The syntax for writing the class will be like this. First, the keyword class followed by the class name. Next, within the curly braces, we have to write the variable declaration and method declaration. Based on this syntax, we can write any number of examples for the classes. And here in this example, the class name is rect and it is having two variables, namely length and breadth. And it is having a method rect in which all letters are written in small case. And it is also taking two parameters, namely L and B. And within the body of this method, we have stored the value of L in len and the value of B in BRE. That is, we have stored the value of L in length and the value of B in breadth. This is the relevant example which is based on the syntax. Next, moving on to how to define and create an object. First of all, what is an object? An object is nothing but a variable of the class, and in Java we can create objects by using the new operator. After creating the objects only, space will be allotted for the variables and methods. So the syntax for creating the object will be like this. First, class name, you have to give some space. Next, object name is equal to new class name, parenthesis open close, and put a semicolon at the end. Based on this syntax, we can create any number of objects. And in our examples, for the class rect, we have created two objects. The first object name is R1 and the second object name is R2. And next we will be discussing about accessing class members. Generally in the class there are two things. The first one is variables and the second one is methods. We can access these class members or we can access these class variables and methods by using object name and dot operator. And the syntax for accessing the variable will be like this. Object dot variable name semicolon, and the syntax for accessing the method will be like this. Object dot method name of parameter list and put a semicolon at the end. Based on this syntax, we can call any kind of variable or we can access any method. We will see an example for defining the class. Here in this example program, there are two classes. The first class name is arect and the second class name is marect. Arect is having two variables, namely len and bre, and it is also having a method area which is returning nothing, and it is taking two parameters L and B. And within the body, we have stored a value of L in len and we have stored a value of B in BRE. And finally, the first class has been closed. And in the second class, we have to create the object for the first class and should call the appropriate methods. Here, if we examine, the second class should be treated as the main class because it is containing the main method. And within the main method only, we have to create the objects for the existing classes and should call the appropriate methods in order to obtain the result. Now, moving on to nesting of methods. First of all, what is nesting of methods? What is the definition for nesting of methods? Nesting of methods means if a method is called from the body of another method within the same class, then it is referred as nesting of methods. And here is an example to demonstrate testing of methods. In this example also there are two classes. The name of first class is nesting and the name of second class is nesting test. In the first class, that is in the nesting class, there are two variables namely m and n, and it is having three methods. The first method name is nest and the second method name is largest and the third method name is display. And the second class will be treated as the main class and it is nesting test. And here within this main class we are creating the object for the first class, and the object that has been created is nobj. And by using this object, initially we are calling the nest method and later we are calling the display method in order to calculate the largest value. Here the exact position where the nesting of method is taking place is within the body of the display. This has to be examined. And next, moving on to method overloading. First of all, what is method overloading? What is the definition of method overloading? Method overloading means using the same method name for different purposes is called as method overloading. In this concept, we will be using the same method and same return type, but the difference will be in the number and type of parameters. So method overloading means same method and same return type can be used any number of times, but the difference will be maintained in the number and type of parameters. And this method overloading is the best example for polymorphism. We will see an example regarding method overloading. In this example, there are two classes, namely room and mroom. In the room class, there are two variables, namely length and breadth, and it is having a method rect, which it is taking two parameters, namely x and y. Within the body of this method, we have stored the value of x and y in length and breadth. Finally, the first method has been closed. Next, again the same rect method has been written with the same return type void here, but it is taking one parameter and it is x. And within the body of this method, we have stored the value of x in length as well as in breadth. After these two methods, we have written a third method called area. And within this method, we have calculated the area. Finally, the first class has been closed. Next, moving on to the second class, that is moving on to the mroom class. It is generally treated as the main class, and because it is the main class, we have to write the main method here. And within this main method, we are creating the objects for the classroom. The objects that have been created are R and R1. Now, by using the object R, we are calling the rect method with two parameters, that is with two values, namely 10 and 20. So, upon executing this statement, for the object R, its length will be 10 and its breadth will be 20. Next, moving on to the further statement, we are calling again the same rect method with the object R1. And here we are passing only a single value, and this single value will be stored for the object R1, and this value 15 will be stored in length as well as in breadth. This is regarding the object R1. So R has been initialized with the values and R1 also has been initialized with the values. Next, we are calling the area method with two objects R and R1. So R dot area will produce one area and R1 dot area will also produce the second area value. Finally, those two are stored in two separate variables, and at the last we are printing those two final values. Here if we examine, the same method rect has been used twice for different purposes. So method overloading means the same method will be used for multiple purposes. This is the best example to consider the method overloading. Next, moving on to method overriding. First of all, what is method overriding? Method overriding means the subclass method will in superclass method provided both the methods are having the same signature. So, the subclass method will have two same methods. The first one is the inherited method and the second one is the subclass method. We will see this in detail by using an example, and here is an example regarding the method overriding. In this example, there are three classes. The name of the first class is arect and the name of the second class is vrect and the name of the third class is moverride. In the first class erect, it is having its own variables, namely len and bre, and it is having a method area in which certain body has been written. Next, moving on to the next method, that is int ar. In this method, we have multiplied the len and bre values, and finally the first class has been closed. That is erect has been closed. Next, if we consider the second class, that is vrect, we have written class vrect extends arect. This means vrect will inherit all the properties of arect. That is, vrect will have all the members and methods of the first class. Now moving on to the second class, that is vrect. It is having its own variable height, and it is also having again the same method int ar. The first class is having the int ar method, and this class is also having the int ar method, but it is having its own body now. And finally the second class has been closed. Next, moving on to the third class, that is the main class, which is m override. In this class, generally we have written the main method, and within this main method we have created objects for the first class as well as for the second class. The object for arect is r, and the object for vrect is v. And now if we consider the statement v dot ar of, we are using the object v and invoking the ar method. If we invoke like this, then the subclass ar method will be invoked instead of inherited method. This is referred as method overriding, and the obtained value is stored in a particular variable, and that variable's value has been printed as the result. This is regarding the method overriding. Next, moving on to constructors. First of all, what is a constructor? A constructor is a special method of the class that is generally invoked when an object is created. It will be invoked automatically without any explicit calling, and here the constructor is having the same name as class name. That is, both the constructor and the class will have the same name. This has to be remembered. And here this constructor purpose is generally to initialize the object when it is created. That is, we can provide the initial values for the object very soon it is created. Here is an example related to the constructor, and before moving on to example, we will see what are the characteristics of the constructors and what are the types of constructors. First, we will see what are the characteristics of constructors. The first property of constructor is a constructor is having the same name as class name. That is, both class and the constructor will have the same name. And the second characteristic is it is generally used to create instance of the class. That is, we will be using this constructor while creating the objects. And the third one is it is not having any return type. No return type will be present for the constructor. These three characteristics are present for the constructors. And next, moving on to types of constructors. Here there are three types of constructors. The first one is default constructor, the second one is parameterized constructor, and the third one is copy constructor. First, what is default constructor? Default constructor means it is a constructor that is taking no parameters. No parameters will be present for this constructor, and this is generally treated as default constructor. The second one is parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor means this constructor will take one or more parameters as the arguments. That is referred as parameterized constructor. And the third one is copy constructor. Copy constructor means we are creating a duplicate copy for the existing object. That is, already an object will be present. If we want to create a duplicate copy for this, we have to depend upon the copy constructor. These are the main three types of constructors, and the main usage of the constructor is to initialize the object when it is created. That is, we can provide the initial value, starting values for the object as soon as it is created. No delay will be maintained in initializing the values. As an example regarding constructors, in this constructor example there are two classes. The name of the first class is room and the name of the second class is mroom. In the first class, that is in the classroom, there are two variables, namely length and breadth. After the variable declaration, we are writing four constructors. The first one is a default constructor, and the second one is a single parameterized constructor. The third one is a two parameterized constructor, and the last one is a copy constructor. We are saying all these four as constructors because these names are same as the class name and they are having no return type. So they are treated as constructors. After writing these four constructors, we have written the area method. In order to calculate after writing the first class, we are writing the second class, that is the mroom class, and it is the main class. And since it is the main class, it is containing the main method, and within this main method, we are creating four objects for the classroom. And the name of those objects are R1, R2, R3 and R4. R1 is created by using default constructor, R2 is created by using single parameterized constructor, R3 is created by using double parameterized constructor, and R4 is created by using copy constructor. So four objects have been created, namely R1, R2, R3 and R4, and all of them have been initialized as soon as they are created. This is being done because we are using the constructors. So finally all of them have got the values, and after these statements we are calculating or we are calling the area method by using four objects. So R1 dot area, R2 dot area, R3 dot area and R4 dot area have been written for those purposes. And finally, after executing these statements, four areas will be calculated by using the objects R1, R2, R3 and R4. So all the four values will be stored in the variables area 1, area 2, area 3 and area 4, and all of them have been printed as a result for this program. So this can also be treated as a constructor overloading example because we are using the same constructor for multiple number of times, and by using the same constructor we are performing different things or different tasks. So this is the best example for constructor overloading. Next, moving on to the last topic, that is access modifiers. In Java, there are three important access modifiers. The first one is static, the second one is final, and the third one is abstract. Static means in Java, it is nothing but a keyword in which it can be placed before a variable or before a method. Here in Java, static members are also called as class members. For example, if the static keyword is placed before the variable, then that particular variable belongs to the class. It does not belong to any object. And for example, if it is placed before the method, then that particular method belongs to the class and does not belong to any object. So, static members belongs to the class and they does not belong to any object. And if we want to access these static members, we does not require any object because already we have said that they belong to the class and they does not belong to any object. So there is no need of object in order to access them or in order to invoke them. And mainly if the variable is declared as static, then that particular variable will retain its value. That is the best use of static for the variable. And next, moving on to the keyword final. Final is a keyword that is present in Java and it is generally placed before the members or before the methods or before the class. If the final keyword is placed before the variable, then that particular variable will be treated as a constant. That is, its value cannot be changed. We cannot change the value of that particular variable and it will be treated as a constant. And if final is placed before the method, that particular method cannot be overridden. And at the last, if we are placing the keyword final before the class, that particular class cannot be subclassed. That is, we cannot inherit that particular class. Modifier is abstract. Abstract is a keyword that is generally placed before the method or before a class. Abstract methods are the methods that does not have any body. They are generally written in the superclasses. And since they are written in the superclasses, they have to be overridden. That is, its body have to be presented in the subclass. And any class that contains the abstract method will be treated as the abstract class. And if a class is treated as abstract, we cannot create objects